thinking, as I said, is like meditation. There's a movement going on. You're moving, but you're so grounded that you're not affected by what's going on outside of you.
Welcome to the Evolution of the Consciousness podcast. Love is spoken here. With your host and guide, Michelle Carruthers.
Morning, everybody. Evolution of the Consciousness. Love is spoken here. I'm Michelle Carruthers on this beautiful Saturday morning, February 17th, 2024. I hear the birds, singing outside. It's pretty calm and quiet this morning because I think most people are still in bed. It's 7:22 a.m. on the West Coast. And I'm sure people are still in bed. A lot of people I notice over here, because I do pay attention, they work during the nighttime. And then, they come home during the morning and, attempt to get some rest and sleep. And I remember those days too. I really enjoy working overnight, working, overnight and then coming home during the day and sleep. And I usually can sleep because everybody else is usually gone to work. But then there came a time, where that was interrupted as well because some people, like in the former neighborhood I was living in, most people, for some reason, they just stopped working. And COVID had a lot to do with that. And a lot of them were still using COVID as the reason why they just cannot get back on their feet. And COVID was a lesson for all of us to what can happen to you. You can wake up one morning and think everything's, let's put it this way. You can go to sleep and wake up the next morning and think, okay, blah, blah, blah. So with me, a lot of things were happening to me when I was in my former residence where, I was having a lot of awakening moments. It's like, whoa. And I felt that something was different from what I remembered, the following day or the previous day, I should say. There was just something different about what was going on and what was happening. So I just wanted to get up this morning on Saturday. I hope everybody's doing fantastic, magnificently, and marvelous because I am. I'm doing good like I know I should, in the place to be. Baby. How about that? I wanted to get up and talk about what it means to think for yourself. What it means to me, let's put it that way, to think for yourself, because a lot of people are saying that, think for yourself. And a lot of people are getting kind of, I notice when I listen to certain people, they seem to get angry about it. When someone tells them to think for themselves, it seems to bother them. A lot of people get upset. And I know that when people talk to you, because it's the sounds and tones that matters when you are speaking to people. And a lot of times we are not aware of our sounds and tones with people and our words and how some words can throw you into a trance if you're not thinking properly. So, and that's why I think it bothers people, because it's like people are pointing fingers. You know how these some what do you call them, self-righteous type personalities. They're self-righteous. Okay, they're not righteous. They're self-righteous, where they're like pointing their finger at you and telling you, what to eat, what to wear, where to go, how to act, and then and if you pay attention to them deeply, they can barely wipe their ass properly. We have a lot of that. Lot of that self-righteousness just roaming through the atmosphere. Because it's all energy. That's why I say it that way. But yes, we have a lot of that self-righteousness. People are on these pedestals and, just interrupting people and bothering people, harassing people. And I know a lot of us that are genuinely righteous people have had enough of that. Okay, we've had enough of that for hundreds of years, thousands of years. But we just allow it to be, because that's the perils that we have. We just have to allow certain things to be. And what does that mean? Well, we have to allow people to control their narrative, to speak, to have their own opinions, to have their own narratives, opinions, theories. We just have to allow people to do that and not be bothered by it. But I know it is annoying. I remember I was reading a post some time back where someone said, yes, and I could tell that they are working on themselves because they said that they're working on their anger issues and working on this and working on that. And they said, but sometimes, during those moments, you do want to just punch somebody in the face. You really do. Who doesn't want to do that? And then if anyone doesn't admit that, then you're not being honest. Sometimes you just want to punch someone in the face, but that's where controlling of your emotions and controlling of your feelings, step in and take on, and suspending of your ego and not taking things personally. And then once that's all registered and there, then you can calm down and allow people to say whatever the hell they want. I've had so many things said to me in my former job as a first responder. I mean, it's comical now, but during the time I had to stay neutral about it to make sure I was being safe, because that's the main thing about when you're dealing with people that are expressing themselves with their uncontrolled emotions and feelings. You do have to protect yourself from that. You do have to protect yourself from it, but allow it to happen. And I hope that makes sense. In other words, I'm not going to be standing around while somebody's yelling and screaming and going off with me about whatever, this or that or the other. As long as I know this person is safe, I used to get in my patrol vehicle and get out of the scene, get out of the area. And if they want to call and complain, good for them. I'm not going to be standing there and letting people just go off and rattle, dump their shit on me. I'm not going to stand by and do that. And I wish a lot of police officers would do that. Just get in your patrol. As long as everybody is safe, nobody's, just get in your patrol vehicle and get out of the scene and stop being so sensitive and taking things personally because somebody calls you a pig or calls you this or that or the other. Just get in your patrol vehicle and go work on, or go a block away or something and just monitor these people. A lot of people are going into some severe psychosis. You're going to see some severe psychosis with people where anything and everything is going. We've been so lawless for hundreds and thousands of years, and that goes from the top down, from the bottom up. We've allowed lawlessness to seep into our realities and thus into our consciousness, where no one has to follow any type of rules. I can think for myself. I know what I'm doing, because I say that, which is true. I do know what I'm doing, but it's how I'm saying that. If I'm saying it in a striking way, then, okay, something else is going on behind the scenes. So thinking for yourself. So what I understand with thinking for yourself, or thinking in general, to me is synonymous to meditation. Okay, thinking to me is similar to meditation. And what's the difference with me and when I'm thinking for myself? Well, this is what I do. I do the same type of meditation setup, meaning I know where I am. I know where I'm sitting. I know where I'm standing. I'm paying attention. Okay, what do I hear? What do I see? What do I smell? Is there any dangers of lurking around me? I'm looking up around me. For me, the main thing is, what do I hear? Okay, I like to know what's going on outside. That's why it's so important to not lock yourself in with, I know the noise can keep people awake. I know it. But at the same time, you need to know what's going on outside your doors, outside your windows. You need to know what's going on with that. Okay, and paying attention. And then I say, well, okay, how am I feeling? Okay, all right, cool. I feel fantastic, magnificently, and marvelous. Okay, and I hope you are too. And then what I do is I pay attention to how I'm breathing. I make sure I'm settled. And like I said, the most important thing is to keep your eyes open. Because this is similar to meditation, and sometimes meditation gets a lot of people get you so calm that you go to sleep, and that's fine, but meditation is not sleeping. Like, when you're meditating, you need to be meditating. You need to be concentrating and being observant. And that's the same thing with what thinking is, in my opinion. You need to be concentrating. You need to be observant about, okay, what am I thinking about? For me, I have a lot of music that's always in my mind, because I love music, and I play enough of it to where I have it recorded in my mind. So if I have a certain If I want to have a certain mood, I'll just think about a song that I know and that I love, and it pops into my head, and I can go along, I can kind of flow along with it without even having to play it. I've been able to do that for a while, and I'm sure that's what we're all doing. We're just not conscious of it, but that's what I do. Like right now, I can hear Earth, Wind, and Fire Devotion in my head playing. And so I'm kind of rolling, kind of moving to that rhythm and that sound and that tone. And it makes me feel good, like I know I should. So, but what what I usually do when I get myself in this situation, how about that? Or in this so-called mindset or into this reality, I say to, I kind of just, like I said, my eyes are open. I'm looking around, kind of being very calm and relaxed and just kind of see what will pop up in my mind or pop up in my thoughts. And what's popping up is, coffee. I haven't had my coffee yet. All right, cool. That can be managed and handled. And then, so I kind of do that throughout the day, actually, since I'm kind of quote unquote remote working, so to speak. So I have that, because it is a luxury. Let me tell you something. Thinking is a luxury. You better understand what that means, because once you disregard that, okay, you're going to slide yourself into atrophy. Okay. And then what we've been taught and what we're learning about thoughts and the power of it is that atrophy is similar to dementia, memory loss. Okay. So, and, if you think about it clearly and effectively, it makes sense. But I'm not going to say more about that because, that has to, because I'm not a doctor, as I've said. I'm giving you my theories and opinions, and you consider your free will as to how you accept it. So, but yeah, I've managed to get myself in these certain type of realities, which are genuine, true sense realities, by the way, so that I can calm myself down, so that when somebody is going off and carrying on, and I know how to dismiss myself from that situation. I do not go into places where I pick up a certain type of energy, and you can pick up that energy once you start paying attention with, like I said, with your eyes open to your surroundings, and always keeping in contact and keeping a focus on, your sensings. What am I smelling right now? Okay, all right. What's that sound? And not make it so as if it's, you could do this without anybody knowing you're doing it, by the way. You can do it alone. You can do it with people too. Because like when I used to work on the road or as a first responder, I always paid attention to my surroundings. And in most cases, somebody can be talking to me. Okay, what I usually do is assess the situation once I get there. And I suggest, this is something that all of us can do. I assess the situation when I get to a certain situation. I do not just immediately jump out of my vehicle, which a lot of people do. Even if somebody is hurt or injured, you do not just jump out of your vehicle and go running aimlessly. That's how you can get yourself hurt. I relax. I make sure I'm settled. And then I look around and see whom I'm supposed to meet with. Because, we usually meet people on the road. They're standing in the road or, I'll just stand around, before I jump out of my vehicle. And it doesn't take long to do that. It doesn't take long to do what I'm saying. I pay attention to the situation. Okay, is there any dangers? I make sure it's safe for me before I jump out of my vehicle to attempt to go save somebody else. And then once I get to the person or persons, because a lot of people usually like to stand around, I assess who's standing around, why are they standing around, and I usually tell them there's no emergency here, you all are free to go. But a lot of people are just, I don't know what that's about, but I don't interfere with any anymore. This is well before any unrest, so to speak, would take place, but we won't talk about that now. I just usually tell them, okay, back off. Just back off of me. Don't be up in my space, in my safety zone. Okay, we all need to give everyone space It doesn't matter how, I can hear you when you are standing an arm's length away from me. And that's what I expect for, if I'm dealing with someone, I want you arm's length away from me. Now, if you are in the background and you have nothing to do with what's going on, I expect you to be further back. Okay. And if you want to hear what I'm saying, do whatever you want. Take out your cell phones, because that's what people do. They rather take out their cell phones anyway when something's happening, like a fire or a disaster. They rather have their cell phones out. That's our reality now. But I make sure that person is arm's length. And that's anybody that you're talking to, just make sure you have your personal, safe space. Now, if you're intimate with that person, of course, that's different. I'm going to be all over you, but no, I'm just joking. But yes, I make sure they're arm's length because I can hear you. Okay. I can hear you clearly and effectively. And then like I said, I pay attention to what's going on around me. And usually as that person is talking to me, I still assess my situation. I still look around and make sure nobody's coming up on behind me, coming up on the side of me, So thinking, as I said, is like meditation. There's a movement going on. You're moving, but you're so grounded that you're not affected by what's going on outside of you. Okay, to allow it to interfere with your thoughts. Yes, there's always, exceptions. There's always exceptions. But when you're thinking, okay, you are grounded. Okay, and you know exactly what you're thinking about. And you can capture what you're thinking and make sure it's in alignment to what you want before you incorporate it into a behavior and action. Okay. In other words, I am clearly involved in what I'm thinking. Thus, the behaviors and actions are closely related to the results I expected. There's always some room to, improve on that. In other words, my results are what I'm thinking, and I take accountability and responsibility for that. Okay, if I happen to call somebody, like when I was on the road, to be real honest with you, sometimes I like getting into certain exchanges with people. Because that's how I grew up anyway, this going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's why I say to people that are paying attention to certain black entertainers or black pioneers or whatever, that's how we usually were behaving in my culture, in the black culture I grew up in. We would go back and forth, with these, it appears as though we are arguing, but we're just kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then after a few minutes of that, it will stop and we'll move on and go play basketball, whatever they would do. For us, in our family, we would just go in our own backyard and go into our own corners, go in our own corners of the yard and mind our own business. Okay. So thinking for yourself is a movement of pure involvement and pure awareness of it, pure concentration of it, so that you do not say something to someone or do something, more importantly, to someone you will regret. And then, how many times have we said it? What was I thinking? What the fuck was I thinking? And that's where you can be gentle and kind with yourself and see how you can work on that. And see if you can go back to what were you thinking before all of this happened, before you've caused, somebody to be offended or cause someone some harm and, intentionally harming, maybe it's unintentional. Who knows? That's only the individual will know. But the actions and behaviors will usually speak for themselves. Like I said, the contradiction between what we're thinking about and what we are saying is so, it's corroded. It's a corrosion. And again, what's going to happen is if you don't understand what it means to think for yourself, you can easily slip into atrophy. And like I said, dementia. Okay, how many people who are intellectual talking heads that have suffered from some type of dementia? They're high-level professors, they're high-level educators, high-level scientists, and they still suffer from dementia type uh, with their memories, where they don't recognize their face in the mirror. So in other words, it happens to high consciousness as well as those in the middle and those, that we assume ought to catch dementia, because we think they're catching it. No, dementia is to me and how I'm being taught and what I've witnessed with certain people that I know, people that I love, it develops, earlier than a lot of people want to admit. Okay. It develops earlier than most people want to admit. Okay. It doesn't start when you are middle-aged. Just put it that way. But I'm not going to say more. I'll let the scientists and those in that field think about that and ask themselves, okay, what are you thinking as a scientist? What are you thinking as a psychiatrist, philosopher? What are you thinking about? Are your thoughts in alignment with what you're talking about? You have to ask these kind of questions and be honest with yourself because, again, you cannot fool your consciousness. And if you think you are fooling your consciousness, you're gonna suffer the most damage to your consciousness because your consciousness is gonna stop. And what I mean by stop, it's not gonna be operating properly. But yeah, the fan is going in the background. You ever had that kind of, like a vehicle, for example? When a vehicle doesn't start, certain components of it are still going and spinning and spinning and spinning, but you just can't get it to connect. It doesn't connect to where you can get it properly charged or whatever you're attempting to do to start it. Okay. So that's what thinking is, or thinking isn't. Okay. We need to, and if we choose to, everything is a choice here. We need to recognize that all because you can regurgitate, I can't even talk like this morning on this beautiful Saturday, February 17th, 2024, all because you can, repeat and talk highly intelligently or talk in a professional manner or this. A lot of people are just not really thinking. They're just kind of going along like robots, going along in a zombie fashion sometimes, and just regurgitating, repeat. And where they're not even thinking about the fact that they are repeating. See, I told you with a lot of concepts and things that I'm introducing, I'm going to be repeating myself. I'm thinking about that. But a lot of people are repeating and are not thinking. Okay. So I'm going to do a video on this probably tomorrow to go into more details about how this is how I do it. You know what I mean? And how, when people are saying, when you are saying that you are thinking for yourself, is that really true? Is that true? Because if you were thinking for yourself, in my opinion, you would understand that there are some things about your thinking that you need to eliminate from your thoughts. Okay. I told you to challenge your beliefs, challenge your faith, challenge your convictions, challenge this, challenge that, just challenge it. No one has to know. And ask yourself, why am I thinking about this? What is going on here? Okay. If I, and be gentle about it. Don't be so harsh about yourself. If you're thinking, as they call, in a degenerate fashion, deviant, predator, monstrous, because your actions are displaying it. And that's how that's why someone that's paying attention to you can get the hairs on the back of their necks, where they need to get out of a situation immediately. Because there's some people that, because they're so unconscious too in their thinking, you can, and they approach you, you can, like me, I can sometimes immediately tell, okay, something's not right here. And that's when I start making sure, okay, am I delusional right now? Am I hallucinating? I always make sure I check myself first. And if I'm uncomfortable, stay with that. If you're uncomfortable, stay on, like I said, stay uncomfortable so that you can stay alert and stay aware about what is really going on. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and give you that. I'll put a little sound in your ear on this early morning. And I hope everybody enjoys their moment, rain or shine, just do the best you can, stay safe, protect each other, protect the ones you love, and most importantly, protect your consciousness. Thus, evolution of the consciousness. Love is spoken here. I'm Michelle Carruthers.
Thank you so much for listening to the Evolution of the Consciousness podcast. Please make sure to leave us a review. If you wish to ask a question to Michelle, you can leave her an email at missmichellecarruthers@gmail.com.